get into the damn video. So today I'm going to be talking about heavy metal and what makes you metal and just music in general. I think heavy metal is a powerful, great form of music. It's definitely one of the best kinds of music. It's, its predecessor, rock and roll and or hard rock, was one of the things and foundations that built upon it, and it evolved. And the whole thing about music evolving has to do with sounds and all that other stuff. It doesn't have anything to do with groups cutting their hair and start wear makeup and start doing a lot of other corny shit. So anyways, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this video, I was online and then there was this girl that replied to me. I forgot specifically what I said. I wasn't rude about it, but she was like, "Oh, you think you're so great, you're the king of metal or something, you know it all." And I was just like, what the hell is she talking about? I'm like, and it just kind of reminded me, because sometimes people that I knew within my life would say that, "Oh, you think you're great, you think you know it all." And I'm like, I don't know shit about music. And when it comes to like metal and bands like that, it's stuff that I'm into, and it's something that I've always been into. And when I collected the metal magazines, I just wanted to read about stuff, what was up and coming, and I wanted to find out more about the stuff. So what makes you a metalhead? It has nothing to do with specifically long hair. I mean, even before the whole 90s thing happened and people were cutting their hair, you had people like Rob Halford and Udo Dirkschneider from Accept. It has nothing to do with tattoos. Dave Mustaine doesn't have any tattoos. Zakk Wylde doesn't have any tattoos. It has nothing to do with drugs or alcohol, because drugs or alcohol are in every aspect of life, every kind of form of entertainment or not. It's just stupid that sometimes people associate, and I understand why. There's the whole sex, drugs, rock and roll thing, and rockers and metalheads are, drunks and or smoke pot. I've had people come up to me or say to me, "Oh, I thought you smoked pot because you wore all those metal shirts." Like, no, it's got nothing to do with it. And of course nowadays pot is everywhere. Everything from the deadheads to athletes to people listening to country, and just a lot of other people doing it. It's just annoying as hell when people associate that kind of stuff with rock and roll and metal, which I understand how and why they do, I guess, because that was the whole thing what people kind of grew up with, was the rockers who were more likely the partiers and people to be smoking dope and all that other stuff, smoking pot, what the hell have you. That's true. This is corny when people associate with that. That's always irritated the hell out of me. If you're new to heavy metal, that's okay too, because everybody has a beginning. And I say this because there's many videos where I'm looking at the comments, reading the comment section, and some people are like, "Oh, hey, I just got into this band," or "Hey, I just got into heavy metal," and stuff like that. Heavy metal is my drug. So a lot of people are like, "Well, what the hell is that supposed to mean?" Well, simply put, heavy metal music or any kind of music or any kind of form of entertainment like movies or anything is an escape from reality. You go to a concert, you watch a movie, you have sex, and what the hell ever. Not in that order, not within each other, but you know what I mean. All these forms of escaping reality and stuff like that. It's to trick your mind, to fool your mind for a little bit, everything's fine, everything's okay, you're rocking out. And of course later and after the drug, sex, or rock and roll, and what the hell have you, you still have your bills to pay, you still have to go to work, you still have your problems, you still have school, you still have all these other things to deal with in life, and that is just in a form of escapism from that. And kind of that's what I did. When I listened to heavy metal music, or kind of, I guess, anything, it was in a form of escapism, and it just made me feel really good. I watch these documentaries, and I'm not knocking these documentaries, but I mean, it's sometimes ridiculously put or narrated when they say, "Oh, the youth, there were angst, and yeah, there was angst, and there was just anger, and they needed aggressive music." What the fuck? What the hell? I wasn't freaking angry at all. I was happier than hell when I was younger. Yes, some things irritated me and pissed me off and made me sad, but heavy metal did that to the opposite of me. If you're listening to heavy metal and it makes you angry, then you have a freaking anger issue. Between 85 and 1990, I was happier than freaking hell listening to heavy metal because I knew I was listening to some of the best stuff ever created. In between even 1980 and 1990, if you will. Some of the best music ever created, and I was living here and living in the here and now and experiencing at the time, and just every single thing that came out was just like, holy shit, this is awesome. Holy shit, this is the coolest thing I've ever heard in my life. So I was happier than hell. The debate continues on what's hard rock and heavy metal. There's always that little thin line between what is hard rock and what is heavy metal. And did heavy metal start in the 70s? That stuff to me is just like hard rock. It's just rock music, really. It's hard to tell or say who. I know people say Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, all that other stuff. Bands like Van Halen never considered themselves heavy metal, although they were associated with it. And of course, bands like AC/DC have also been considered heavy metal, or Def Leppard, speaking of England. And Joe Elliott doesn't consider them heavy metal whatsoever. Robert Plant has stated he doesn't like it when people consider Led Zeppelin heavy metal. In terms, it gets a little crazy and out of hand too, because back in the day, back in the 80s, I was growing up, would listen to heavy metal. And then, of course, they started throwing the glam metal there. Sometimes pop metal, they were calling it, between 89 and 1990. And then thrash and speed metal. I remember watching this one documentary back in 1986, and they were calling Megadeth, Metallica, and Slayer speed metal. And there was a video that's posted up, and once again, somebody kind of got it wrong. I forgot who did it. I think it was, I forgot the guy's name. I'll put it right up here, because I forgot the guy's name. But it did a video, and what the heck is his name? I forgot the guy's name. I'll put it right up here, because I ain't afraid to specifically state it. He did a video that was titled, "What's the difference between speed metal and thrash metal?" And he went on to describe the difference between speed metal and thrash metal. There is no difference whatsoever. It was called speed metal at first, and that they coined the term that, but it was short-lived, because then they started using the term thrash. And it was just a more of heavier, faster music when all the Bay Area thrashing started and all that other stuff. So it's just a combination of everything. We talked about that before, but speed metal, it was just called speed metal, that's all. Just like with glam metal and hair metal. What's the difference between glam metal and hair metal? Nothing. It's just the same damn thing. It's just two different terminologies. Speaking of glam metal, when most of my friends, some of them weren't, when we talked about heavy metal, we were like, we kind of had the thought process or ideology of Cinderella's opening for Slayer, cool. Rat is opening for Exodus, cool, we're there. White Lion is opening for Megadeth, great, we'd love to see that show too. So I put White Lion in there with Megadeth. But anyways, my point is, we were just open to all other kinds of like music. We didn't specifically say, oh, well, we just like this. Some people did, but any kind of like, anything that kicked ass, was heavy enough, and then cool enough, we liked, whether it was glam or thrash metal whatsoever, or either or. So we were new to the scene and appreciated and liked everything, whether it was glam metal or thrash metal. We were all for it. And our regular traditional heavy metal like Iron Maiden and Accept and bands like that were heavy metal, but they weren't thrash metal, and then yet they weren't really glam metal. Heavy metal is just one of the greatest forms of music, I think. I like other stuff. A lot of other people who listen to heavy metal do. That doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how old you are. Stopping listening to heavy metal music doesn't mean you grow up. Some people think that is true. It's not. Heavy metal's for everyone. I think heavy metal is great, and it's been a big, huge part of my life. And that's how and why I still listen to it to this day. And that's how and why I make these videos, because it's been a huge part of my life. And I like it. And I know a lot of you do too. And if you watch this video, you probably do. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.